Hey everybody, today I want to talk about the Stihl 2-in-1 chainsaw chain sharpening guide or file. Let's just get right into it. Hey everybody, welcome to Good Day Farm. My name's Travis, and today I wanted to talk about the Stihl 2-in-1 chainsaw chain sharpener system file guide, whatever you want to call it. I've had this for quite a while. I've used it, not extensively, but I've used it enough. I've used it a lot, actually. I keep it in my toolbox. It's great for when I'm out cutting, if I need to touch something up a little bit. It's pretty quick and easy to use. And I just wanted to kind of show it to you guys real quick. I have seen recently a lot of interest in these, both on various YouTube channels and on some different Facebook and forums, internet forums and stuff like that. And I want to clarify, I feel like there's maybe a misunderstanding or misconception about this device. It's only good for certain type of chain. The things you need to know when you're looking at one of these is, one, it's specific for each chain size. So this one here is for a 3/8 chain. And then it's only going to be for your round filed style chains. Obviously, you're not going to do a square ground chain with this. The advantage to this is it will sharpen the cutter tooth and adjust the depth gauge at the same time. And then there's a lot of misconceptions or misunderstandings, I guess, on that. And people feel like that, you know, because it takes a stroke every time you're taking a stroke of the cutter tooth, that, oh boy, you're going to wear out your depth gauges and they'll be too aggressive. Not true. It's got these little guides, and later I'll show some close-ups of this in action, that prevent it from taking any more off the depth gauge than is necessary to maintain the factory recommended height, which that's one thing I don't know for sure with this system, if they go for 25 thousandths or 30 thousandths. I would guess about 30, because when I use it, it makes a good cutting chain. The other thing, so this will be good for your full chisel chains that are round ground, semi-chisel, you know, things like that, but not square ground. The other thing that's important to know is it only works on full comp chains, full complement. And if you don't know what that is, you know, you can look that up and it'll be explained to you in detail. But you have full comp, skip, semi-skip. But I do want to clarify up front, this only works for a full comp chain, round filed. With that out and cleared up for anybody that may not understand, you know, I do know I've seen a few YouTube videos where this was used on skip sequence chains, and the person, you know, thought they were getting great results, and it was probably just pure luck. It needs both cutter teeth to work, and I'll show you why in just a second. So let's get into it. I'm going to get my saw set up back here, and we'll go over all that stuff. So on the guide itself, there's arrows that point which direction you'd be filing with it. And that's important to know because you line these lines of the outside of the guide up parallel with the bar. So that'll tell you what tooth you can do. If I had this flipped over, where that arrow's pointing that way, and I try and line it up, that's totally backwards for the tooth. I'm filing from the inside out, so that's the direction I want this file to go. I line it up here, and that's the angle of that cutter, so that's the way I'll be filing. It's got two round files, so I'm obviously using the round file that's on the bottom. You're going to set that in there, and you'll notice right when you do that, these straight bars, one's resting on top of that cutter tooth. Hopefully you can see that. I know you're not going to see this one over here. Anyhow, there's one resting on this cutter over here. That's why it's important that this be a full comp chain. If it was a skip chain, that tooth would be missing, and this bar would be riding down on the chain rail, which would cause you to lower that depth gauge more than it should be. So anyhow, you get it all lined up like that, and you just take just like a normal file stroke with your file. And you just do your strokes just like you would with just the file guide. So I'm firmly holding down and pushing back against it. That's why it's so important to have your chain locked down tight. I don't know how well you can see that, but clearly sharpened it up. You can kind of see right on the top there. It took just enough to shine up that depth gauge. Then we just move to the next tooth. You can see how this is parallel with the bar. And that's all it takes, just a couple strokes. See what a nice point that tooth has. See if we can get, I don't think my camera's gonna stay focused, but you can see the shine under there, so you know it sharpened up under there. And then, like I said, look at the depth gauge there. It took just a little bit off the top. You can definitely see it from this angle, how shiny it is. That means it just nicked it, where like that depth gauge hasn't been touched yet. So I don't currently have any wood outside that I can go show you how this cuts, but believe me, it cuts really well. As you can see on the close-up of the cutter tooth, it's super sharp, and it works great. This, in my opinion, for relatively freehand filing, I mean, because you still have the ability to have this off angle a little bit, and, and you could change the angle of filing. It's a really good system, even with that, because of lining up both ends as you go across. You're much better. Your odds are better that you're going to keep it at the right angle. Unlike this style of file guide that has the little witness marks on it, I always feel like these, I used these years ago. I still have a couple laying around. I mean, I'm horrible. I don't ever throw anything away, right? But I always feel like these were really easy to wander, so you would start on your witness mark here, and when you came to the end of your stroke, it'd be way off. And I think this 2-in-1 helps eliminate that, because it is bigger, and it's, you might think it's bulkier, but it's actually comfortable in the hand. And because of its size and the width of this part that you're lining up, to me, that makes it much easier to visually see as you're going across, and know that you're keeping it straight and not wandering back and forth like that. So with that said, I recommend this. I know there's another company that makes this exact, and rumor has it they make it for Stihl. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know, I think it's Preferred is the brand name, and it's a little bit cheaper than this one. I would recommend this to anyone that's, hand filing their chains and wants to, this eliminates the extra step of having to do your depth gauges separately. This takes that step out. It's going to basically check and adjust if needed every time. It doesn't take too much off. It doesn't file off every stroke you make. It goes until these guide bars that are part of the guide are where they need to be on the cutter tooth, and the flat file for the depth gauge cannot go any lower. So the biggest drawback I would say to this is they're specific per chain. So if you have a couple different saws and you run a couple different chain sizes, it's going to get expensive up front to buy one of these for each chain size. The files that go inside, the round files, are the same as the round files you've always been buying, so that cost won't go up. So it's the upfront first time buying the guide if you have multiple chain sizes. I don't know how much the depth gauge file, the flat file in here, is to buy. I just know it's different, and when you see one, you'll see why. It's a lot thicker. It's totally different than the flat files that we typically use for our depth gauges. I don't know what this one costs, but to look at it, and for the amount of time I've used it, I've wore out the round files before the flat files, so I think that's kind of a wash. I don't think that's a consumable that you would have to replace really often. So if you're looking for a good, easy system to just throw in your toolbox and take with you when I think this is it. I still am a big fan of the Gramberg bar-mounted filing guide, and that's really good, especially if you're playing with your angles and changing them a little bit. That's very consistent, and you can set your angles and do what you need to do. But if you're just sticking to manufacturer suggestion and just doing that, this is great, and there's no setup time. The Gramberg, once you get used to it, it's not bad to set up, but there is some time to set it up, and there's time when you switch to the other side, you got to reset everything up. So this eliminates that. This in my book, that's this a little quicker, so it wins out there. The only, like I said, the biggest con is you're limited. This only works for one chain size, one angle, one depth gauge setting. But for most people, that's probably fine. So, it's not a big issue. Like I said, I recommend it. Happy cutting, you guys. I wish I had a log to go out and show you on. I don't have any any wood that I could demo this on right now. Plus it's really cold today. It's about minus 13 degrees Fahrenheit, and I don't really feel like going outside and cutting wood. So just got to trust me, it cuts really, really well. So you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos like this. If you like them, let me know in the comments. You know, if there's something, a product that you want to see demoed and that I haven't already had experience using, you know, let me know and I'll check it out and see if I can get a hold of something and test it. Like I said, I've had this for a little over a year, and the main reason I want to do this video is because it just seems like recently in my circle, I've noticed more and more people asking about them, and I've noticed some other YouTube channels demoing them or showing them, like, because they just discovered them. They're like, hey, check this out. And a few of them have been bad information, in my opinion. They're not, they didn't fully understand the tool before they demoed it, and so they're kind of giving bad information. And that's why I wanted to be very clear at the beginning of this. You know, it's only for a full comp chain, and it is only for round filed chains, and it only works for one size chain. You're not going to take this to multiple different chains, so on and so forth. But I don't want to keep going over all that. So you guys have a great day. Thanks again for watching. I'm filming this on New Year's Day, so for today, and, you know, Happy New Year to everyone, and you know, just stay safe and have a good day.